Welcome to another SOJC tutorial. This video will run through the basics of setting proper white balance, that is, telling the camera how to see and record color. What do we mean when we say white balance? What affects the colors we see in our photos? And what are some of the ways we can control those settings in the camera? White balance is, simply put, the adjustment we make so that colors look natural and accurate. White should look white, and if they do, then probably all the other colors in the scene will be accurate as well. At least, that's the theory. Really, the key idea is that certain colors and objects are clear triggers for our brains. We know grass is green, the sky is blue, and what white should look like. We might not remember the exact shade of that wall or shirt, but if recognizable colors are wrong, we'll know it. In life, our brain and eyes do an amazing job of adjusting to conditions. Daylight, fluorescent lights, your bedside table, we make adjustments on the fly. If you're in a situation with different kinds of light and you pay attention, you'll be able to see the problem your camera faces every day. Walk by a lit up office building at dusk and the offices may look yellowish green. Our eyes and our cameras can't adjust to different light sources at the same time. Most of the time our cameras can do a pretty good job of adjusting if there's only one kind of light. And we will learn in future lessons how to adjust our photos in Photoshop. But there are limits to what Photoshop can do, and so it's important to understand how to get the best results possible in the camera. A quick note, I'm assuming we're shooting JPEGs. JPEGs are a file format for images that are nearly universal and common to almost every camera known. It's the format we generally use when we email photos or post on a website or to Instagram. JPEGs are ubiquitous. We'll talk about the RAW file format in later lessons. RAW files, called CR3 on the Canon R7, offer advantages and some disadvantages. If you do shoot RAW, CR3 on the R7, much of the color correction can be done in post-production. But the ideas are the same, so let's assume to start, your camera is set to JPEG. So now, a quick science lesson. How does color work? I imagine most of us have seen a rainbow, and maybe we understand that the natural white light of the sun is made up of a wide spectrum of colors. Maybe you learn the mnemonic Roy G. Biv, red, orange, yellow, green, blue, indigo, violet, to describe the colors of the rainbow. It was Isaac Newton, using prisms, who showed that the white light of the sun is made by combining these colors. The lamp in your house is also made up of a mix of colors, as is the fluorescent light in an office. But it's a different mix, a different proportion of colors, and in the case of some fluorescent lights, some of the colors are missing. If our camera is set to take the mix of colors in sunlight, but we are photographing with the light from a lamp, then our camera will misinterpret those colors. We have to change the settings so the camera can adjust for this different mix. One way to measure the color of light is using a scale called color temperature, which is hotter, a blue flame or a yellow flame. Most of us learned somewhere along the way that blue flames are hotter. In fact, if you heat an object, you'll see it starts out glowing red, then yellow, then into the blues, and then we talk about white hot as the hottest. These different temperatures and colors have been idealized into a color temperature scale using degrees Kelvin. We don't need to memorize this information, but it's worth understanding it. Our lamps in our houses tend towards the very warm yellows and oranges of low color temperatures. The midday sun is in the middle range. The light in the shadow of a tree or house is in the bluer, higher color temperature range. Confusingly, and again, why is it that so many photographic measurements seem to be in reverse? We talk about warm colors to mean reds and yellows, but those are low color temperatures, while cool colors tend towards the blue, high color temperatures. In one case, we're talking about the feeling of colors as warm or cool. In the other, we're talking about the actual measurement. There are several options for setting color temperatures on our cameras, and let's look at them. AWB is auto white balance. Then there are some built-in presets, and then you can set a custom preset of your own. Let's start with auto white balance, and here's the good news. 90%, maybe more of the time, auto white balance will do a very good job. Especially outdoors, but even indoors, it will usually adjust your camera automatically and get you pretty close to a natural look. Most of the time, you can safely use AWB. It'll be one less thing to worry about as you try to master all the controls of the camera. You can access the white balance setting from the quick menu and simply select AWB for auto white balance. We could just stop there, but there will be times when you'll want to use a different setting. How will you know? You'll look on the back of your camera. We live in a wonderful age. You can look at your photos as you start to shoot an assignment or situation. If the colors look wrong, try option 2 or even 3. When might the auto white balance setting fail us? Mixed lighting is one kind of situation. If a scene has more than one kind of light, daylight through a window mixed with indoor lighting, for example, the camera can easily get fooled. The reality is that your camera can only adjust to one kind of light at a time. So if a scene is lit by different kinds of light, you'll have to choose. Is it more important that the window light looks accurate or the room lights? And that will depend on the subject matter, and the camera might guess wrong. We don't want the camera to always make colors, quote, natural looking. Here's the most common example of that situation. Why are sunsets so pretty? The colors. The pinks and reds and oranges of a sunset add to the beauty. But does our camera know what beauty is? Of course not. Our camera won't understand we want to keep the red-orange glow. And if we shoot in the auto white balance mode, our photos will likely lose all that beautiful color. The built-in presets can help. There are 9 white balance options on the R7. There's auto. Then there's daylight. That's the light of a midday sun. Shady, the light in the shade. Cloudy, light on a cloudy or overcast day. Each of these would be called natural light, but their colors will look different. Then we have incandescent, which is a standard light bulb. Fluorescent, a range of colors depending on the style of bulb. And then electronic flash. We also can set specific degrees Kelvin, setting to a specific color temperature if you know the color temperature of the lights, or want to use a setting in between the presets. And then preset, the ability to customize the white balance. As I said earlier, the auto settings will work 90% of the time. If you're checking your photos and colors look natural, then you're all set. To change a setting, use the Q button or go into the menu setting. The various presets can be useful, especially in mixed settings where you want to tell the camera to prioritize. If the light is a mixture of daylight through a window and a lamp, and your subject is primarily lit by the window, for example, you might want to tell the camera to use the daylight setting. Or in unusual situations, a stadium or lights at night, or if you're not sure what the heck the light is, you can actually set a custom white balance based on the actual lighting conditions. To set a preset white, go to the white balance button in the Q menu and select the custom button. You might need to scroll to find it. You'll be prompted to take a photo to set the white balance. What you photograph must be white or a light gray. It has to be neutral. If you photograph something that has color in it, then your colors will be unnatural. Fill the frame and focus on the object and take a photo. The camera will show you that you've set your white balance. It's important that the gray-white object, it can be a piece of paper, a white shirt, is in the same light as the scene. Don't cast a shadow on it. Have it oriented to reflect the light of the space. Remember, if the light changes, if you go to a different place, you'll need to reset your white balance. So hopefully you're now set on white balance. To review, white balance is setting your camera to properly capture colors of a scene so they look natural and accurate. Most of the time we can use the auto settings on the camera, but in mixed light or unusual light we may select one of the camera's presets or set our own white balance using a white or gray card. The more accurately we expose our scene using a proper white balance, but also a proper exposure, the better the image quality of our final photo.